The Replacement. Chapter 1. The contract. Jordan Crawford slid the check across his desk. $10 million. Sebastian Thorne. He placed a photograph beside it. Forbes cover. Sharp suit. Sharper eyes. Break up whatever he has with Marianne. When it's done, I'll double it. My hand stayed flat on my thighs. Steady. Why me? Because you're already invisible to them. Because you know how to fade into expensive rooms. His finger tapped my name on the check. Because in 3 years, you've never asked me for more than we agreed. The lie sat between us like crystal fragile, perfect, about to shatter. I lifted the photograph. Sebastian Thorne at 32 looked nothing like the 19-year-old who'd pulled 3 men off me in an alley 8 years ago. Harder now. Controlled. But the same intensity behind his eyes, the same dangerous competence. When do I start? He's interviewing for an executive assistant Monday? Your RSUM is already in the system. Jordan stood, already dismissing me. Don't disappoint me, Evelyn. I left his office. Made it to the elevator. Pressed the button for the garage. Then I smiled. 8 years ago, the alley behind Madison Square had smelled like piss and rain. 3 drunk finance bros had cornered me 16. Skinny, easy target. The first punch split my lip. The second doubled me over. Then someone grabbed the biggest one by his collar and threw him into a dumpster. You touch her again, I break your wrist. The voice was cold. Final. They ran. He helped me up. 19, maybe 20. Expensive watch, split knuckles, eyes that had seen worse than alley fights. You're stronger than you look, he said. Don't let them make you small. Then he left. I never got his name. Spent the next 8 years trying to find him anyway. Present day, my apartment, the one Jordan didn't know existed, was a 5th-floor walk up in Astoria. Studio. Clean. Mine. I opened my laptop and pulled up everything on Sebastian Thorne, MIT, computer science, Harvard MBA, CEO at 27 after his father's stroke. Tripled Thorne Industries' value in 5 years through acquisitions so precise they looked like surgical strikes. Personal life invisible. A few photos at charity events. No social media. No scandals. His Reddit AMA from 3 years ago had one revealing exchange, user do you date? S. Thorne, I date. I don't pretend it's more than mutual entertainment. The boy who saved me had learned to armor himself in systems and strategy. I understood that. My phone buzzed. Jordan, update me tomorrow. This is time sensitive. I typed back, understood. Then I opened a secure folder buried 3 levels deep in my file structure. Inside incorporation documents for Meridian Consulting Group. My company. Built over 3 years using the money Victoria Crawford had paid me to be Jordan's placeholder girlfriend. 3 years, $3 million, she'd said. Keep him distracted while Marianne finishes at Oxford. I'd signed her contract. Used her money to build something real. Now, Jordan was paying me to destroy the one person who'd ever seen me as worth saving. Except, I wasn't going to destroy Sebastian. I was going to make him mine. Chapter 2. The interview. Rachel Chen from HR called at 703 Monday morning. Miss Winters? Mr. Thorne would like to meet you at 10. Fair warning, he's particular. How particular? His last assistant lasted 3 months. The one before that, 6 weeks. A pause. He's brilliant. Demanding. Not cruel, just uncompromising. I can handle uncompromising. Then you'll do fine. See you at 10. Thorne Tower cut the financial district's skyline like a blade. 65 stories of steel and glass designed by a Pritzker winner to intimidate. It worked. Security waved me through to a private elevator. Rachel met me on the executive floor open plan, high ceilings, floor-to-ceiling windows on 3 sides. "He's in there." She gestured toward the corner office. "Wait until he calls you." Through the glass, I watched Sebastian Thorne read something on his tablet. Dark suit. Sharp focus. He didn't look up once in 15 minutes. The intercom crackled. "Send her in." His office was spare. Expensive furniture. Original art. Nothing personal. The desk faced the window's power position, forcing visitors to look up into backlight. "Sit." Saturday. He kept reading. 2 full minutes of silence. Deliberate. Testing. Finally, he closed the tablet. Looked at me. Recognition hit me like voltage, those same dark eyes, now colder. More careful. He didn't remember. "Your RSM says you run a consulting firm." His voice was deeper than I remembered. Why work for someone else? Trap question. Money sounds mercenary. Growth sounds calculating. Admiration sounds desperate. "I don't want to work for you," I said. "I want to work with you. Handle what you shouldn't waste time on. Translate your strategy into execution." One eyebrow lifted. Confident. Accurate. Silence. He was recalibrating, deciding if I was worth the risk. "Tell me about corporate espionage." "You're testing whether I'm a plant from a competitor." "Am I?" "Yes. And I'm not. But you'll have me sign an NDA regardless." He almost smiled. "You're observant." "I'm employed." He stood, walked around the desk, leaned against it, close enough that I could smell cedar and something sharper. "I work 16-hour days. I expect perfection. I don't tolerate excuses or personal drama." His eyes locked on mine. "But I pay $400,000 base, double that in bonuses." "What's the actual catch?" "The catch is you'll hate me by month 3. Only if I'm not good enough to keep up." His expression shifted interest, sharp and sudden. "When can you start?" "Monday too soon?" "Monday is perfect." He extended his hand. "Welcome to Thorne Industries, miss." Winters. His grip was warm. Firm. The same hand that had pulled me off an alley floor. He felt it too, some flicker of recognition before he pulled back. "HR will send your contract. Read the NDA carefully. It's comprehensive. I'd expect nothing less." At the door, I paused. "One question." "Ask." "Why did you agree to interview me personally?" "Because everyone else sent generic competence. You sent controlled arrogance." He picked up his tablet again. "I can work with arrogance." In the elevator, I let myself breathe. My phone buzzed. "Jordan status?" "Got the job. Start Monday." "Perfect. Keep me updated on every move." I stared at that message. Jordan thought I was his weapon. His tool for breaking up Sebastian and Marianne. He had no idea I'd just positioned myself exactly where I needed to be. Chapter 3. First week Monday, 7:47 a.m. Sebastian was already at his standing desk, phone pressed to his ear. He saw me through the glass. "Is less than #0. 6# is greater than gestured me in without pausing his conversation. Don't care about their timeline. Ours matters. If they can't deliver Q2, find someone who can." He hung up. Coffee. Black. 3rd floor calf. Not, please. Not, would you mind? Just the assumption I'd comply. I went. The barista knew his order, Sumatra, pulled as espresso, Americano style. She smiled. "You're the new assistant. Good luck." When I returned, Sebastian had moved to his conference table, papers organized in precise rows. I set his coffee down. Took mine to the desk. "Questions," he said without looking up. "Several." "Ask." I pulled out my notebook. "Priorities this week? Meeting prep requirements? Communication preferences? Dietary restrictions? Standard departure time? And what's your policy on being challenged?" Now he looked up. "That last one's unusual. I'm not a usual assistant." Almost a smile. "Priorities change daily. Check the shared calendar. 24-hour advance prep on meetings. Text for urgent, email for routine, face-to-face for sensitive. No carbs before 6. I leave when work is done. And if you think I'm wrong, say so privately. In public, we present united." Noted. Good. Let's begin. By Wednesday, I'd mapped his pattern's coffee at 7, 10, and 3. Protein-heavy lunch at his desk. News scan at 2. Standing desk when restless. Thursday afternoon, I had his Cobb salad ready before he asked. He noticed. "How did you know?" "Back-to-back meetings all morning. You always want protein after long sessions. Most people take weeks to learn that. Most people are trying to survive you. I'm trying to understand you." His expression shifted. "Understanding me. What have you concluded?" Dangerous territory. But he'd said he wanted honesty. "You use work as armor. The more hours you log, the less time you have to think about whatever you're avoiding. You trust systems because they're predictable. People aren't." The silence stretched. "Rachel said you were interesting." She understated. Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Sebastian grabbed his jacket. "Come on." "Where?" "Dinner meeting. Potential investors. I need you reading the room." The restaurant had no prices on the menu. Sebastian's private room was already occupied by 3 men in expensive suits. "Gentlemen, this is Evelyn Winters, my strategic partner." Not assistant. Partner. The dinner lasted 3 hours. I watched body language while Sebastian presented his Southeast Asia expansion. When they pushed back on timeline, I jumped in with earnings data. When they worried about cultural barriers, I cited competitors' case studies. Is less than #0. 6 is greater than buy dessert. They'd agreed to a second meeting with their full committee. In the car afterward, Sebastian was quiet. "Finally, where did you learn to do that?" "Do what?" "Anticipate objections before they're voiced. Read subtext in real time. My RSUM doesn't include everything." "Clearly." He turned to look at me. "You're either a competitor's plant or the best hire I've made in 5 years. The second one." "Prove it." "I just did." He smiled genuine this time. "Don't make me regret this, Evelyn." "I won't." Friday afternoon, Sebastian left for a board meeting. I used the time to reorganize his digital filing system, which was a disaster. Someone knocked on the glass. A woman stood there, late 20s, designer dress, the kind of beauty that came from genetics and maintenance. She looked familiar. "Can I help you?" "You must be the new assistant." Her smile was all teeth. "I'm Marianne Crawford. Here to see Sebastian." Every muscle locked. Marianne. Jordan's obsession. My supposed target. He's at a board meeting. "Did you have an appointment?" "I don't need appointments." She walked in like she owned the space, trailing expensive perfume. "Sebastian and I have history. I'll let him know you stopped by." "Don't bother." She pulled out her phone, fingers flying. Then she looked at me with sharp assessment. You look familiar. Have we met? I don't think so. She tilted her head. You're pretty. Sebastian hires pretty assistants. They never last. The implication you'll fail too. I'll exceed expectations. I'm sure. She moved toward the door, paused. By the way, Sebastian and I are having dinner tomorrow. If he mentions canceling anything, make sure he doesn't. It's important. She left. I sat there, processing. My phone buzzed. Marianne says she's seeing Sebastian tomorrow. Get close. Find out what their relationship is. I stared at the message. This was it. The moment I was supposed to execute Jordan's plan. Except I had a different plan entirely. Chapter 4. The dinner Saturday, 7:53 p.m. My phone rang. Evelyn. I need a favor. Sebastian sounded tense. Tonight's dinner, I need you there. Your dinner with Marianne? She just informed me she's bringing Jordan. Apparently, he's dying to reconnect. Pure sarcasm. I need someone who can run interference. Could I make it? He was asking me to crash his date with permission. What time? 8. Le Bernardin. Wear something appropriate. This is business. Business. Marianne's family foundation is a client. I need to keep things professional. Harder when she makes it personal. Translation. Marianne wanted something Sebastian didn't. I'll be there. Black cocktail dress. Simple jewelry. Professional enough for business, elegant enough for dinner. When I arrived at 757, Sebastian was at the bar. He saw me, and something flickered in his expression. You look appropriate. So do you. 5-figure suit, hair styled back, sharp angles catching the light. Quick brief, he said, leaning close. Marianne and I dated briefly in college. She's been persistent about rekindling things. I've been clear, I'm not interested. If Jordan's here, it's not for reconnection, it's leverage. What kind of leverage? Before he could answer, Evelyn? Jordan stood 3 feet away, Marianne beside him. Both looked shocked. Jordan. I kept my voice neutral. What a coincidence. Sebastian stepped forward. Actually, I invited Evelyn. When Marianne mentioned group dinner, I thought someone from my team should attend. Cold smile. Shall we? The seating became subtle warfare. Marianne tried for the chair beside Sebastian. I took it first. Jordan ended up next to Marianne, looking betrayed. The dinner was surgical. Marianne dominated conversation, name-dropping, touching Sebastian's arm. He deflected every advance with precision. Remember the Met fundraiser? Marianne's hand slid higher on his arm. We had such a wonderful time. You had a wonderful time. I worked. You always say that. You need to learn to relax, Seb. I'm perfectly relaxed. Really? Her hand moved to his shoulder. Because you seem... Evelyn? Sebastian interrupted, turning to me. Tell them about the Southeast Asia proposal. I launched into expansion plans. Marianne's expression curdled as conversation shifted to business. Jordan listened too intently, trying to decode what game I was playing. When Marianne excused herself to the restroom, Jordan leaned across the table. Evelyn, we need to talk. Now? Sebastian's hand settled on the back of my chair. Is there a problem? No problem. Just need a moment with Evelyn. In the hallway, Jordan grabbed my arm. What the fuck are you doing? My job... Your job is to seduce Sebastian, not cockblock Marianne. I pulled free. Lower your voice. I'm building trust. You can't seduce someone who doesn't trust you. Building trust? You're sabotaging. If Marianne can't compete with competent professionalism, that's her problem. I met his eyes. Trust the process, Jordan. I'm paying you $20 million to get close to Sebastian. Which I'm doing. Better than you imagined. I turned toward the dining room. Now, let me work. When we returned, Marianne was reapplying lipstick. Sebastian looked relieved. The rest of dinner was passive aggression and corporate jargon. By dessert, Marianne was visibly frustrated. Sebastian, we should get together. Just us. Like old times. I'm very busy. You're always busy. Surely you have time for friends? My schedule is managed by Evelyn. You'll need to go through her. Marianne's eyes turned sharp. I see. And does Evelyn manage all your personal time? Only what I ask her to? How convenient. Sebastian grabbed the check before anyone could object. This was educational. Evelyn, ready? Absolutely. In his Tesla, we drove in silence for several blocks. Then Sebastian laughed. What? I asked. That was the worst dinner I've had in years. You invited me. Best decision I made all week. You handled Marianne perfectly. He glanced over. Strategic warfare disguised as professionalism. Is there a difference? He laughed again. More genuine this time. He pulled up to Jordan's building the address from my RSUM. Thank you for tonight. I know it was above your job description. Consider it overtime. I pay excellent overtime. I reached for the door. He caught my wrist. Evelyn. I turned back. His expression was serious. Searching. Why do I feel like I know you? My heart stopped. Maybe we've met before. Maybe. He didn't sound convinced. I pulled away gently. See you Monday, Sebastian. As I walked toward the building, I felt him watching. The boy who'd saved me hadn't recognized the woman I'd become. But part of him remembered. And that would either save us both or destroy everything. Chapter 5. The Confrontation. Jordan was waiting. Pacing his penthouse like a caged wolf. Explain. Explain what? Why you're sabotaging my plan. I kicked off my heels. I'm not sabotaging anything. I'm executing strategy. Your strategy is making Marianne look bad and becoming Sebastian's right hand. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. I met his eyes. Jordan, Sebastian isn't interested in Marianne. He never was. She's the one pushing for something that doesn't exist. You don't know. I watched them for 3 hours. He deflected every advance. Every single one. While you sat there hoping she'd notice you, his face went red. How dare, someone needs to tell you the truth. I crossed my arms. Marianne doesn't love you. She sees you as a stepping stone to someone more impressive. And tonight proved it. Get out. Jordan, get out. We'll talk when you remember who's paying you. I grabbed my clutch and left. At my apartment, I poured wine and tried to untangle what I was doing. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Sebastian. Hope you got home safely. Thanks again for tonight. I stared at the screen. He'd looked up my personal number, which meant he'd thought about me after I left. Home safe. Thanks for dinner. See you Monday. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Are you free tomorrow? Sunday? Hartford meeting. We could drive together. Business meeting. Sunday. 4 hours in a car with Sebastian Thorne. Opportunity or disaster. What time? I'll pick you up at 8. Address? I sent my real address. The studio in Astoria. If he noticed it wasn't Jordan's building, we'd deal with that. See you then. I set down my phone and took a long sip of wine. Tomorrow, I'd have 4 hours alone with Sebastian. 4 hours to either win him over or lose everything. Chapter 6. The Drive. Sebastian pulled up at 802 inches, a Range Rover. Dark blue. Leather seats worth more than my rent. I climbed in with coffee. He gestured to a travel mug already in the cup holder. Already prepared, I said. Good. Long day ahead. We left the city in comfortable silence. Once we hit I-91, Sebastian relaxed slightly. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why do you live in Astoria? Here it comes. What do you mean? You make $400,000 a year. You could afford something significantly better. I like my apartment. It's quiet. Close to my favorite coffee shop. And nowhere near Jordan's building. My pulse spiked. What? I looked you up, Evelyn. Thoroughly. Your RSUM lists Jordan Crawford's address. But you don't live there. You live in a studio in a working-class neighborhood. He glanced over. Want to tell me what your relationship with Jordan really is? I could lie. Should lie. But Sebastian valued honesty above almost everything else. We dated. 3 years. It ended recently. How recently? A week before I interviewed with you. His jaw tightened. Were you living with him? It's complicated. Uncomplicated. I took a breath. Jordan's stepmother hired me to be his girlfriend. 3 years, $3 million. Marianne was at Oxford. Victoria wanted someone to keep Jordan distracted. Someone who reminded him of Marianne but couldn't actually compete. Long silence. Victoria Crawford paid you to be Jordan's fake girlfriend. Yes. For 3 years. Yes. And now? Now the contract is over. Marianne's back. Victoria doesn't need me anymore. But Jordan hired you to seduce me. Cold flooded through me. How? I'm not stupid, Evelyn. Jordan and I have history. When his fake girlfriend suddenly applies to work for me, right as Marianne returns, the dots connect themselves. Are you firing me? That depends. He pulled onto the shoulder. Stopped. Turned to face me. Are you actually trying to seduce me? The question hung between us, sharp as broken glass. I could lie. I was so tired of lying. Yes. Why? Because 8 years ago, 3 men were kicking me around in an alley downtown. You stopped them. Fought them off. Helped me up. Told me I was stronger than I thought. Then you disappeared. I met his eyes. Until I walked into your office last week. His hands tightened on the wheel. The alley behind Madison Square. You were black hair. Cut short. So thin. I was 16. And terrified. I remember thinking you looked like you were about to fight back anyway. I wanted to. Why didn't you? Because you told me not to let them make me small. So I decided to get big instead. He stared at me for a long moment. That's why you seemed familiar. That's why. And you've been planning this since you saved me. Yes. Jesus Christ, Evelyn. He ran his hand through his hair. That's either the most romantic thing I've ever heard or the most manipulative. Can't it be both? He laughed sharp, almost desperate. You are the most dangerous woman I've ever met. Thank you. That wasn't a compliment. Wasn't it? Is less than #0. 6# is greater than. We sat there on the shoulder of I-91, cars rushing past, morning sun streaming through the windows. Here's what happens now, Sebastian finally said. We finish this drive. Do the meeting. Then, on the way back, we figure out what the hell this is. Okay. For the record, he pulled back onto the highway. If you were trying to seduce me, you wouldn't need Jordan's money to do it. My heart stopped. What? I've wanted to kiss you since you walked into my office and told me you didn't want to work for me. I've just been trying to be professional. He glanced over. But you've been planning this for 8 years. So, fuck professional. Sebastian, after the meeting, Evelyn. Let me get through the next 4 hours without doing something I'll regret. Like what? Like pulling this car over and kissing you until you forget every strategic plan you've ever made. Heat flooded through me. That would be highly unprofessional. Exactly. The meeting was torture. I tried to focus on the tech company's AI infrastructure pitch. But all I could think about was Sebastian beside me, his leg occasionally brushing mine, his hand inches from my own on the table. When the CEO asked for our assessment, I somehow articulated concerns about scalability. Sebastian added questions about development pipeline and talent retention. We were flawless together, which made everything more complicated. Walking back to the car, Sebastian said, "You were right about the scalability issues. That's why you brought me. That's why I hired you." He opened my door. Among other reasons. On the drive back, tension stretched between us like wire. Finally, tell me your plan. My plan? Your strategic plan for seducing me. I want to know what I'm up against. Past lying now. Phase 1, get hired. Done. Phase 2, become indispensable. In progress. Phase 3, create situations alone together. Like this. Phase 4, wait for you to make the first move. What if I don't? Phase 5, make it myself. He smiled. What's phase 6? Haven't planned that far. Liar. You've planned everything. He was right. Phase 6 was, make him fall in love with me. Phase 7, tell him everything. Phase 8, hope he doesn't destroy me. But I couldn't say that. Phase 6 is, figure out what happens when this stops being strategy and becomes real. And Jordan's $20 million? I give it back. Do you mean that? Yes. Several miles of silence. Then Sebastian pulled off at a rest stop. Parked in the far corner. Turned to face me. Here's my problem. I don't trust easily. The few times I've let people close, they've used it against me. Leaked business secrets. Sold personal information. Saw me as a meal ticket. His eyes locked on mine. I know you're not like them. You're smarter. More strategic. More dangerous. Which means you're capable of far more damage. I wouldn't. How do I know? You don't. That's what trust is. He reached out. Tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. I want to kiss you. I've wanted it since the moment you walked into my office. His thumb traced my cheekbone. But if I do, everything changes. Everything already changed when you recognized me. Maybe. His hand slid to the back of my neck. But once I kiss you, I won't be able to stop. So if any part of this is still about Jordan's money, or revenge, or whatever you're really after, I need to know now. I'm not playing anymore. What are you doing? Taking the same chance you took 8 years ago when you decided to help a scared girl in an alley? I'm going to regret this. Probably. He kissed me. Not gentle. Not tentative. Fierce and desperate, and 8 years of longing compressed into a single moment. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he said, "So, what now? Now you tell me what history you have with Jordan that makes this so complicated." His expression shuddered. That's a conversation for another time. Sebastian, not today, Evelyn. Today, we just had a successful meeting and a very unprofessional moment in a parking lot. Let's not overcomplicate it yet. But I could see it in his eyes. Whatever history existed between Sebastian and Jordan, it was darker than I'd imagined. And I just stepped directly into the center of it. End of Part 1. Structural Notes for Continuation Act 2 Setup. Jordan's tactical escalation leak. Manipulation. Third-party co-opt. Sebastian's complicated past with Jordan, revealed in layers. Evelyn's internal conflict. Genuine feelings versus original manipulation. Marianne's escalating interference. External pressure. Board politics. Business leverage. Foundation threats. Romance. Arc tension. Post-kiss. Complication. Professional boundaries. Trust issues. Power inversions. Moments where Sebastian and Evelyn lose control. Forced separation distance, creating want. Earned vulnerability beats before full commitment. Antagonist elevation. Jordan discovers Evelyn's secret company uses Foundation PR to damage Sebastian, manipulates board, vote, or client relationship. Forces Evelyn into impossible choice. Climax requirements. Convergent resolution. Jordan's fall relationship commitment. Evelyn's arc closure. Cost something real lost. Not just strategic escalation. Earned emotional payoff after controlled burn. Tone calibration. Maintain thriller romance hybrid. Strip repetitive strategy metaphors. Use sensory situational details over internal monologue. Let trauma beats. Breathe with precision prose. Chapter 9. The Counter-Strike. Thursday morning, I woke up in Sebastian's bed, his arm around my waist, sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. For a moment, I let myself feel it. Safe. Wanted. Real. Then my phone buzzed. Marcus got the audit. You need to see this. Call me as soon as possible. I carefully extracted myself from Sebastian's grip and went to the living room. Marcus picked up on the first ring. Where are you? Sebastian's place. What did you find? Jordan Crawford is running a Ponzi scheme through his family foundation. It's small scale, but it's there. He's been using new investor money to pay returns on old investments, covering up losses with fake reports. My pulse spiked. Can you prove it? I've got bank transfers, forged documents, the whole thing. It's not huge, maybe $5 million total over 3 years, but it's enough to trigger a federal investigation if reported properly. Send me everything. Encrypted. Evelyn, if you go after him with this, he's going to come after you harder. I know, but he made a mistake when he involved the police. Now, it's not just blackmail, it's false reporting. Conspiracy. If I can prove he forged those emails, he's the one who goes to jail. Be careful. Always am. I hung up and turned to find Sebastian leaning against the doorframe, watching me. How long have you been standing there? Long enough. He crossed to me, kissed my forehead. We have a meeting with legal at 9. Think you can be ready? Already am. Sebastian's legal team was 3 sharks in expensive suits: Marcus Chen, no relation to Marcus, Elena Rodriguez, and David Park. They sat across from us in a conference room that probably cost more per hour than most people's monthly rent. I walked them through everything: Victoria's contract, Jordan's blackmail, the forged emails, the police investigation. When I finished, Marcus Chen leaned back. This is comprehensive. Jordan Crawford came prepared. So did I. I slid a flash drive across the table. That contains a complete forensic audit of Crawford Foundation's finances. He's running a small-scale Ponzi scheme. I have documentation proving he forged the emails he sent to the SEC. Elena picked up the drive. How did you get this? I have excellent resources. Resources that could be questioned in court, David pointed out. The information is accurate. The source doesn't matter if the proof is solid. Sebastian leaned forward. What's our play? Marcus Chen opened his laptop, plugged in the drive. Spent 10 minutes reading. Then he smiled. We bury him. But carefully. First, we file a counter-complaint with the SEC showing the emails are forged. We include just enough of the Foundation audit to raise questions without revealing everything. We let them start their own investigation. And the police? I asked. We provide them with evidence of Jordan's fraud. Show them they're investigating the wrong person. With the SEC complaint and the fraud evidence, they'll drop your case and pivot to him. Timeline? I can have everything filed by end of day. The investigations will take months. But the criminal complaint will get him arrested within a week if the evidence is solid. I looked at Sebastian. Your call. Do it, he said. All of it. By Thursday evening, the legal machine was in motion. Sebastian and I left the office at 8, exhausted but cautiously optimistic. Hungry? He asked. Starving. We went to a small Italian place in the village, quiet, intimate, no chance of running into anyone from our world. Over pasta and wine, Sebastian asked, what happens after this is over? After what? After Jordan is arrested? After your company is cleared? After we've won? He reached across the table, took my hand. What do we do then? I don't know. I've been so focused on revenge, I haven't thought past it. Maybe it's time to start. What do you want? Honestly? He smiled. I want to wake up with you every morning. I want to argue about business strategy over breakfast. I want to build something together, not just professionally, but personally. I want. What? I want to stop being afraid that caring about someone makes me weak. His vulnerability hit me hard. This man, who'd built walls higher than mine, who'd learned to trust systems instead of people, was sitting here offering me everything, is less than #0. 6# is greater than, I want that too, I said quietly. But I'm scared. Of what? That I'm too damaged. That I'll hurt you. That this is all going to fall apart the second we stop fighting external threats and have to face each other. Then we'll face it together. He squeezed my hand. I'm not asking for perfect, Evelyn. I'm asking for real. My phone buzzed. Jordan's number. You think you're clever. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Tomorrow you'll understand. I showed Sebastian. His expression went cold. What does that mean? I don't know. But I was about to find out. Chapter 10, The Petition. Friday morning, I woke up in my own apartment. I'd insisted on spending the night alone, needing space to think. My phone was dead. I'd forgotten to charge it. I plugged it in, showered, got dressed. By the time I checked it, I had 17 missed calls. Sebastian. Marcus. Rachel. Even Doctor. Zhang. Something was very wrong. I called Sebastian first. Where the hell have you been? His voice was tight with panic. I've been trying to reach you for 3 hours. My phone died. What happened? Jordan filed a petition for involuntary psychiatric evaluation. Victoria signed an affidavit claiming you made threats against yourself and Jordan. A mental health evaluator is en route to your location. They'll likely arrive within the hour. My blood turned to ice. What? The petition cites your therapy history. Somehow they got access to partial records. Claims you've been exhibiting erratic behavior, made violent statements. His voice was controlled fury. If the evaluator determines you meet criteria, they can petition a judge for emergency detention. We're filing an immediate counter-motion, but how long do I have? Get to doctor. Zhang's office. Now. He's preparing an affidavit as your treating psychiatrist. If we can get documentation to the court before the judge signs the order, a knock at my door. Someone's here. Don't open it. Evelyn, do not. But I'd already looked through the peephole. 2 people in professional attire. Behind them, 2 NYPD officers. Miss Winters? A woman's voice. I'm Dr. Patricia Mills, crisis evaluator with the Office of Mental Health. I need to speak with you regarding a petition filed this morning. I opened the door a crack, keeping the chain on. I haven't been served with any petition. Doctor. Mills held up a clipboard. The petition was filed at 6 a.m. I'm here to conduct a mandated evaluation. If you refuse, the officers are authorized to transport you to a designated facility for assessment. One of the cops looked uncomfortable. The other looked bored. I have a treating psychiatrist. Dr. Harrison Zhang. He can verify. Will contact Dr. Zhang as part of the evaluation. But the law requires a crisis assessment when credible threats are documented. She glanced at her notes. Miss Winters, the petition states you threatened self-harm and made statements about harming Mr. Jordan Crawford. Is that accurate? No. That's completely false. Then you won't mind answering a few questions, so we can clear this up. Sebastian was still on the phone. I could hear him talking to someone in the background, probably the legal team. I looked at the cops. At Dr. Mills. At the petition she was holding. Jordan had done this properly. Filed in the middle of the night, got an emergency evaluator assigned, had police backup to ensure compliance. This wasn't amateur hour. This was strategic. I'll cooperate, I said. But I'm recording this evaluation, and I want my attorney present. You have the right to legal counsel at the judicial hearing, but not during the initial assessment. Doctor? Mills' voice was professional but firm. However, you may record the interview if you wish. I grabbed my phone. Hit record. Held it where she could see it. Let's get this over with. The evaluation took 90 minutes. Doctor. Mills asked about my mental health history, my therapy with Dr. Zhang, my relationship with Jordan and Victoria. She asked if I'd made any statements about self-harm or harming others. I answered carefully. Honestly. Showed her text messages proving I'd seen Dr. Zhang 3 days ago. Explained Victoria's contract, Jordan's blackmail, the entire context. She took notes. Asked follow-up questions. Remained professionally neutral. Finally, Miss Winters, based on this assessment, I don't find sufficient evidence to support immediate detention. However, given the nature of the allegations, I'm required to file my findings with the court. A judge will review both the original petition and my evaluation. How long does that take? Usually within 24 to 48 hours. If the judge grants the petition, you'll be notified and given the opportunity to contest it at a hearing. She stood. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you stay in contact with Dr. Zhang and avoid any contact with the petitioners. After she left, I called Sebastian back. The evaluator didn't find cause for immediate detention. Good. But Marcus Chen says Jordan anticipated that. He's filed supplementary affidavits, hospital records from when you were 16, statements from people claiming you've been increasingly erratic. He's building a pattern. Those records are sealed. He couldn't. He got Victoria to request them as your legal guardian from when you were a minor. It's thin, but it might give a judge enough to order a full evaluation. I sat down hard. This is insane. It's strategic. Jordan knows if he can get you detained for even 72 hours, it damages your credibility. Makes you look unstable. He's not trying to keep you there forever. He's trying to win the PR war. What do we do? Doctor. Zhang is filing a counter affidavit with your complete treatment history, showing consistent progress and no current safety concerns. Marcus is preparing a habeas petition in case the judge signs the order. And we're documenting everything Jordan's done, the blackmail, the forged emails, the intimidation. He paused. But Evelyn, if the judge signs that order, you need to comply. Don't give them ammunition. How long? Emergency hearings are typically scheduled within 48 to 72 hours. We'll get you out. But you have to trust the process. The judge signed the order at 3 p.m. I was in Dr. Zhang's office when Marcus Chen called. The judge found sufficient cause for a psychiatric evaluation. You're ordered to report to Bayview Psychiatric Hospital for a 72-hour observational hold. Insufficient cause, I said flatly. The evaluator said, Jordan filed additional evidence 2 hours ago. Photos allegedly showing you damaging property at his penthouse. Statements from Mrs. Chen, his housekeeper, claiming you made threats. Marcus's voice was tight with anger. The photos are staged. Mrs. Chen's statement was coerced. But the judge didn't have time to verify before signing. So what do I do? You report voluntarily within 4 hours, or they'll send officers to transport you. Doctor. Zhang has already contacted Bayview's medical director. You'll have a patient rights advocate assigned. We're filing for an emergency hearing should get scheduled within 48 hours. Doctor. Zhang touched my shoulder. I'll drive you. And Evelyn, don't take medication you don't want. You have the right to refuse treatment except in emergency circumstances. Document everything. Bayview Psychiatric Hospital was institutional brutalism wrapped in bureaucracy. Gray concrete. Security glass. The kind of place designed to contain rather than comfort. Processing took 2 hours. They documented my belongings, took my phone, patients may use facility phones for approved calls, issued me scrubs, and assigned me to a room in the evaluation wing. A woman in professional attire appeared as they were finishing intake. Miss Winters? I'm Jennifer Okafor, your patient rights advocate. I've been assigned to ensure your rights are protected during this hold. Did Dr. Zhang Doctor? Zhang contacted me directly. I've reviewed the petition and the evaluator's initial assessment. She handed me a packet. This outlines your rights. Most importantly, you can refuse non-emergency medication. You're entitled to a hearing within 72 hours, and you have the right to independent evaluation. Jordan Crawford paid people off here. I need to be careful what I say, and to whom. Her expression didn't change, but something sharpened in her eyes. Document everything. Times, names, any medication offered. I'll be checking on you every 12 hours. If anyone tries to medicate you against your will without proper charting, you tell me immediately. The room was exactly what I'd expected. White walls. Narrow bed. Window with safety glass that didn't open. Door that locked from the outside. But there was a call button. And a posted schedule showing when the rights advocate made rounds. I sat on the bed and thought through strategy. Jordan had gotten me detained. Probably cost me 48 to 72 hours. But he'd made mistakes, the obviously staged evidence, the coerced statement from Mrs. Chen, the rush job on the supplementary affidavits. Sebastian and Marcus would tear those apart at the hearing. I just needed to survive until then, without giving them real ammunition. A nurse appeared at the door. Young, professional. ID badge read L. Patterson, RN. Miss Winters, I have your evening medications. What medications? She checked her tablet. Lorazepam, 2 milligrams for anxiety, and I'm refusing medication. Document that refusal per my patient rights. The attending physician ordered, "I understand." I'm still refusing. If the physician believes I'm in imminent danger requiring emergency medication, they can document that justification and we can discuss it with my advocate. Nurse Patterson hesitated, then made a note on her tablet. I'll inform Dr. Reyes. 30 minutes later, a different figure appeared. Male, mid-40s, white coat over expensive clothes. His ID was partially obscured, but I caught the name Reyes. Miss Winters. I'm Dr. Reyes, the attending psychiatrist. Nurse Patterson says you're refusing medication. That's correct. The medications are to help you remain calm during the evaluation period. I'm calm now. If that changes, we can revisit. His expression hardened slightly. Miss Winters, resistance to treatment can be seen as lack of insight. It may affect the evaluation. Then document that I'm exercising my legal rights as explained by my patient advocate. I met his eyes. Unless you're documenting that I'm currently in imminent danger to myself or others, requiring emergency medication over my objection. Long silence. I'll make a note in your chart, he finally said. After he left, I used the call button. Jennifer Okafor appeared 15 minutes later. Dr. Reyes tried to pressure me into accepting medication. Did he chart an emergency justification? No. Just implied refusing would affect my evaluation. She made notes. That's inappropriate. I'll speak with him. Keep refusing unless you want the medication or unless they can show documented emergency criteria. That first night, I didn't sleep. Every hour, someone checked on me. Shined a light through the door window. Documented my status. At 2 a.m., I heard screaming from another room. At 4 a.m., someone was forcibly medicated. I could hear the struggle, the pleading, the eventual silence. This was what Jordan wanted. To break me. To make me seem unstable. To win through attrition. But I'd survived worse. I'd survived my mother's death. My father's abandonment. Victoria's cruelty. I could survive 72 hours in a hospital. And when I got out, Jordan Crawford was going to learn what real consequences looked like. Chapter 11. The hearing day 2 started at 6 a.m. with observation rounds. Different nurse this time. Older, less sympathetic. She documented that I'd slept fitfully, refused breakfast, and declined morning medications. All true. At 8 a.m., Jennifer Okafor appeared. Your emergency hearing is scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Doctor. Zhang filed his affidavit yesterday evening. Your legal team submitted a habeas petition and a motion to dismiss the hold based on insufficient evidence. What are our chances? Good. The staged evidence is obvious. And Mrs. Chen has already recanted her statement. Apparently, she was told by Victoria that you'd become violent and posed a danger to Jordan. She didn't know it was false. Jennifer checked her notes. However, Dr. Reyes filed a supplementary report claiming you've been resistant to treatment and showing poor insight. It's thin, but judges sometimes defer to on-site clinicians. So I need to play cooperative without actually taking drugs I don't need. Exactly. Participate in group therapy if offered. Eat meals. Be polite but firm about medication refusal. She leaned forward. And Evelyn, if anyone tries to force medication without proper emergency documentation, you scream for me. Understood? Understood. At 10 a.m., I was escorted to group therapy. 8 other people sat in a circle. Most looked genuinely troubled. One woman rocked back and forth, muttering. A man stared at nothing. Another woman, probably my age, caught my eye and gave a small, knowing nod. The therapist was competent but overworked. She asked us to share our feelings. Most people did. Some didn't. When it was my turn, I said, I'm angry that I'm here under false pretenses. But I'm choosing to use this time productively while my legal team gets me out. The therapist made a note. Do you feel your commitment was unjustified? Yes. And I'll prove it at my hearing tomorrow. After the session, the woman who'd nodded at me approached. You're the one from the viral video, she said quietly. The hospital abduction. You saw that? Everyone saw it. It's all over TikTok. Someone caught Victoria Crawford having you grabbed off the street. The hashtag #FreeEvelyn is trending. She glanced around, lowered her voice. Listen, be careful with Dr. Reyes. He's got a reputation for finding reasons to extend holds, especially when families pay extra for intensive monitoring. How do you know? Because I was where you are 3 months ago. Ex-husband tried the same thing. Took me 2 weeks to get out. She touched my arm. Document everything. Times, interactions, medication offers. Your lawyer will need it. At noon, I was allowed a phone call. I called Sebastian. Evelyn. His voice was rough with relief and exhaustion. How are you holding up? I'm okay. The hearing is tomorrow at 10. I know. Marcus and I will be there. So will Dr. Zhang. He paused. Evelyn, there's something you need to know. Jordan gave an interview this morning. My stomach dropped. What kind of interview? He positioned himself as the concerned ex-boyfriend trying to get you help. Said you've been spiraling since you started working for me. That he tried to help but you pushed him away. Sebastian's voice was tight with controlled fury. He's spinning this as a wellness intervention gone wrong. Did it work? For about 3 hours. Then someone leaked the petition documents showing the staged evidence. And Mrs. Chen went on record saying Victoria coerced her statement. He took a breath. It's turning, Evelyn. Public opinion is shifting. But Jordan's playing a longer game. He's trying to make you look unstable enough that anything you say about him seems like delusion. He's better at this than I thought. He is. Which is why we're going nuclear at the hearing tomorrow. Every piece of evidence of his manipulation, his fraud, his conspiracy. We're not just getting you out, we're destroying his credibility. That afternoon, Dr. Reyes appeared for a second evaluation. Miss Winters, how are you feeling today? Frustrated but calm. Still refusing medications? Yes. I don't need them. He made notes. Your file shows a history of depression and anxiety. Treatment resistance can indicate poor insight into your condition. My treating psychiatrist, Dr. Zhang, has documented steady improvement over 8 years. I'm exercising my legal right to refuse non-emergency medication. That's not resistance, that's autonomy. Yet you were admitted on an emergency petition. A petition based on false evidence that will be exposed at tomorrow's hearing. His expression remained neutral, but I saw the calculation behind his eyes. He was deciding whether to recommend extending the hold. We'll see what the judge decides, he finally said. After he left, I used the call button. Jennifer appeared 20 minutes later. Reyes is setting up for an extension recommendation. I know. I read his notes. He's documenting your lack of insight and treatment resistance. She pulled out her tablet. But we have ammunition. Doctor. Zhang's affidavit shows consistent progress. Your behavior here has been appropriate. And we have documentation of attempts to coerce medication without proper emergency justification. Is it enough? It should be. But judges are unpredictable. She met my eyes. Be perfect tomorrow. Composed, articulate, respectful. Give them no reason to question your stability. That night, at 11 p.m., An orderly I hadn't seen before appeared at my door. Large. Dead-eyed. His badge said, C. Morrison. Miss Winters, doctor. Reyes has ordered a sleep aid. You need to take it. I'm refusing. This isn't optional. Unless Dr. baited. Reyes has documented an emergency justification, which he hasn't. Yes, it is. I stood, moved to the call button. I'm calling my patient advocate. His hand shot out, caught my wrist. Don't do that. Let go of me. You're going to take the medication. Is there a problem here? Jennifer Okafor's voice cut through the room. Morrison dropped my wrist immediately. No problem. Patient refused medication. Then document the refusal and leave. Jennifer's voice was steel-wrapped in professional courtesy. Now? After he left, Jennifer checked my wrist. Did he hurt you? No. But he was paid to make sure I took that medication. I know. I've already filed a complaint with the medical director. She pulled out her phone, took photos of my wrist where Morrison had grabbed it. This goes in your file. Tomorrow, we show the judge exactly what's been happening here. Day 3. The hearing. They let me shower and dress in my own clothes. Jennifer escorted me to the courthouse, along with a hospital security officer who was legally required to accompany patients under hold. The courtroom was small. Functional. Judge Martinez presided, middle-aged woman with sharp eyes and no patience for bullshit. Sebastian sat in the gallery behind Marcus Chen and Elena Rodriguez. Doctor. Zhang sat beside them. On the other side, Jordan, Victoria, and their attorney, a silver-haired shark named Richard Castellano. Judge Martinez reviewed the file. This is an emergency hearing to review the involuntary psychiatric hold of Evelyn Winters. Mr. Castellano, your petition. Your Honor, Miss. Winters poses a danger to herself and potentially others. She's made threats, damaged property, and refuses treatment despite documented mental health issues. Miss Rodriguez, response? Elena stood. Your Honor, the petition is based entirely on fabricated evidence. The property damage photos are staged. We have timestamps showing they were taken after Miss Winters left Mr. Crawford's residence. The statement from the housekeeper was coerced and has been recanted. And Dr. Reyes' recommendations are tainted by payments made by Mrs. Crawford for intensive monitoring. She laid out documentation. Bank transfers from Victoria to Bayview. The recantation from Mrs. Chen. Analysis of the photos showing digital manipulation. Additionally, Your Honor, we have an affidavit from Dr. Harrison Zhang, Miss Winters' treating psychiatrist for 8 years, showing consistent progress and no current safety concerns. We also have documentation of attempts to medicate Miss Winters against her will, without proper emergency justification. Judge Martinez reviewed the documents. Looked at Jordan. At Victoria. Mr. Castellano, your clients paid Bayview Psychiatric Hospital for enhanced monitoring of the patient? For appropriate care, that's a yes or no question, counsel. Yes, Your Honor. And you're aware that payment for specific outcomes in an involuntary commitment case is illegal? Silence. Judge Martinez turned to me. Miss Winters, please stand. I stood. Do you currently have thoughts of harming yourself or others? No, Your Honor. Do you have a safety plan and support system if released? Yes. I have my therapist, Dr. Zhang, and a strong support network. Do you understand the allegations against you is less than #0. 6# is greater than I do. They're false, and I can prove it. She made notes. Looked at Dr. Reyes, who'd been called to testify. Dr. Reyes, on what basis did you recommend extending this hold? Patient showed poor insight and treatment resistance. Patient exercised her legal right to refuse non-emergency medication. That's not the same as poor insight. Judge Martinez closed the file. This hold is terminated immediately. Miss Winters is released to her own recognizance with the recommendation that she continue treatment with Dr. Zhang. She looked at Victoria and Jordan. Additionally, I'm referring this matter to the DA's office for investigation of potential false filing and conspiracy. Mr. Crawford, Mrs. Crawford, you should consult with your attorney. The gavel fell. I was free. Sebastian was waiting outside the courtroom. The moment I emerged, he pulled me into his arms. It's over, he said into my hair. Not yet. I pulled back. Jordan's still out there. And he's not done. I was right. Chapter 12. The Board Vote. 3 days after my release, I was back at Thorne Industries. The office felt different. People looked at me with a mix of sympathy and curiosity. They'd all seen the viral videos, read the news coverage. Rachel hugged me when I arrived. We're so glad you're okay. Thanks. Is Sebastian in? Board meeting is less than #0. 6# is greater than been going since 7 a.m. She lowered her voice. It's not good, Evelyn. My stomach dropped. What happened? Jordan Crawford called an emergency board meeting. He's pushing for Sebastian to step down. I found Marcus Chen outside the boardroom, looking grim. How bad? Bad. Jordan's using the PR from your hospitalization, spinning it as Sebastian showing poor judgment by hiring someone unstable. He's got 3 board members on his side already. That's not enough to remove him. No. But it's enough to block the Southeast Asia acquisition. Jordan convinced them it's too risky given the current situation. Marcus checked his phone. The vote's in 20 minutes. I pushed past him into the boardroom. Sebastian stood at the head of the table, mid-presentation. 8 board members sat around him. Jordan was there too, not on the board, but present as Crawford Foundation's representative, their largest institutional investor. Evelyn, Sebastian said, surprise and concern warring in his expression. You shouldn't be. I'm exactly where I should be. I looked at Jordan. What are you doing? Protecting this company's interests. Jordan's voice was smooth, reasonable. Your instability poses a risk. Sebastian's judgment in hiring you and keeping you after multiple red flags shows concerning lack of oversight. Red flags you manufactured. That's not what the board sees. He gestured to a screen showing headlines Thorne Industries executive assistant involuntarily committed. CEO's judgment questioned after hiring troubled employee. The optics are damaging. Donors are concerned. We need to take action. One of the board members, Patricia Wong, Crawford Foundation's liaison, spoke up. Mr. Crawford has raised valid concerns. Perhaps Miss Winters should step down voluntarily while this situation stabilizes. I was held on false pretenses, I said. The judge dismissed the petition and referred Victoria and Jordan for criminal investigation. Nevertheless, the damage to our reputation is minimal compared to what will happen if you let Jordan Crawford manipulate this board. I pulled out my tablet. Let me show you something. I displayed the forensic audit of Crawford Foundation. Over the past 3 years, the foundation has made 23 investments in companies that subsequently failed. Coincidentally, those same companies had significant contracts with entities Jordan controlled. The foundation lost money. Jordan's shell companies profited. I looked at Patricia Wong. You've been laundering money through charitable investments, haven't you? Patricia's face went white. Jordan remained calm. That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? Bank transfers. Shell company formations. SEC filings that don't match internal foundation documents. I looked at Sebastian. Should I continue? Sebastian's expression was unreadable. Continue. I spent the next 15 minutes walking through the evidence, transaction by transaction, shell company by shell company. By the end, 2 of Jordan's allied board members were reconsidering their positions. But Jordan wasn't done. Even if true, which I dispute, this has nothing to do with Miss Winters' fitness for her position. He leaned forward. Let's be clear, I have documentation showing Miss Burkett. Winters used her position here to gather confidential information about foundation investments. Information she then used to build her consulting firm's portfolio. He slid a folder across the table. Emails. Calendar entries showing meetings that coincide with foundation strategy sessions. Investment decisions made by her company within days of acquiring inside knowledge. My blood went cold. He'd manufactured a paper trail showing I'd committed securities fraud. Those are forgeries, I said. Are they? Because I have timestamps, server logs, metadata. Jordan smiled. If we report this to the SEC, Miss Winters will be under investigation. And so will Thorne Industries for harboring someone engaged in insider trading. Silence around the table. Sebastian's jaw was tight. What do you want, Jordan? I want the Southeast Asia acquisition blocked. I want Miss Winters removed from her position. And I want a seat on this board to ensure proper oversight going forward. He leaned back. In exchange, these emails disappear. The SEC never hears about them. And we all move on. That's blackmail, I said. That's negotiation. Jordan looked at Sebastian. You have until end of business today to decide. The acquisition vote happens in 3 hours. Choose wisely. He left. The board members filed out, murmuring amongst themselves. Sebastian and I were left alone. He's good, I finally said. Better than I thought. The emails are fake? Yes. But proving it will take time. Time we don't have. I sat down hard. If you report him, he reports me. If I'm under SEC investigation, you can't keep me on staff without looking complicit. And if you fire me, you look like you're caving to pressure. So he wins. 1 round. He wins 1 round. I looked at Sebastian. What are you going to do? He was quiet for a long moment. I'm going to choose you. Sebastian, the acquisition can wait. The board seat, I'll fight that separately. But you? He pulled me to my feet. I'm not sacrificing you for a business deal. Not now. Not ever. It's a $100 million deal. And you're irreplaceable. He kissed my forehead. We'll find another way. But we do it together. At 4 p.m., Sebastian sent an email to the board. The Southeast Asia acquisition is postponed pending further review. Miss Winters remains in her position. Crawford Foundation's board seat proposal is rejected. Any member uncomfortable with these decisions is welcome to submit their resignation. By 5 p.m., Patricia Wong had resigned. By 6 p.m., the other 2 Jordan-aligned board members had followed. And by 7 p.m., Jordan Crawford was on the news, announcing that Crawford Foundation was withdrawing its investment from Thorne Industries. Sebastian Thorne has shown poor judgment and ethical lapses, Jordan said to the cameras. We cannot in good conscience support a company that harbors individuals engaged in securities fraud. The stock dropped 3% in after-hours trading. Jordan had landed a real hit. That night, in Sebastian's apartment, I tried to apologize. I cost you $100 million and 3 board members. No. Jordan cost me that. You gave me the truth. He poured wine. And now we know what we're dealing with. He's not just obsessed, he's strategic, competent, dangerous. So what do? We go nuclear. He handed me a glass. Tomorrow, we file criminal complaints. Fraud. Conspiracy. False imprisonment. Everything. And we turn over the foundation audit to the FBI. He'll fight back. Let him. We're done playing defense. I sipped my wine. You know this is going to get worse before it gets better. I know. He pulled me close. But we're in it together. That's what matters. Chapter 13. The Investigation. The next morning, Marcus Chen filed formal complaints with the FBI, SEC, and New York Attorney General's office. The FBI response was underwhelming. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Agent Martinez said in our meeting. We'll open a preliminary inquiry and review the evidence you've provided. How long does that take? I asked. Preliminary review typically takes 30 to 60 days. If we find sufficient cause, we'll open a formal investigation. That can take 6 to 18 months. 18 months? Financial fraud cases are complex, Miss Winters. We need to build an airtight case before bringing charges. Sebastian leaned forward. What about the forced commitment? The conspiracy to file false psychiatric petitions? That falls under state jurisdiction. You'd need to work with the New York AG's office. The Attorney General's office was more responsive. Assistant AG Rachel Morrison reviewed our evidence in detail. The false psychiatric hold is criminal. We can move forward on that relatively quickly, likely charges within 60 days. What about the foundation fraud? That's federal. We can run a parallel investigation, but we'd defer to the FBI on timing. She made notes. However, the forged emails and false SEC filings, those are state crimes. We can move on those faster. How fast? If the evidence is solid, we could have Jordan Crawford in custody within 2 to 3 weeks. While we waited for law enforcement, I worked with Marcus, my business partner, to secure our evidence. We need proper chain of custody, Marcus said. Everything encrypted, forensically imaged, hash values documented. We worked with a digital forensics firm to create certified copies of everything: bank transfers, emails, foundation documents. Each piece of evidence was cataloged, hashed, and stored with proper custodian declarations. If Jordan tries to claim we tampered with anything, we can prove the integrity of every file, Marcus explained. 2 weeks later, the Attorney General's office filed criminal charges: conspiracy to file false documents, the psychiatric petition, attempted extortion, the board meeting blackmail, forgery, the fake emails, false reporting to law enforcement. Jordan was arrested at his penthouse at 6 a.m. Bail was set at $2 million. Charles Crawford, my biological father, posted it immediately. But the arrests didn't stop there. The FBI's preliminary inquiry turned up something interesting. The foundation audit I'd provided had come from a whistleblower inside Crawford Foundation. Diana Reeves, the woman who'd leaked Sebastian's acquisition plans, had been documenting Jordan's fraud for months. She'd provided information to my business partner through her attorney, with proper whistleblower protections. Her testimony accelerated the federal investigation. Within 90 days, the FBI opened a formal probe. Within 6 months, they had enough for an indictment. Jordan Crawford was charged with wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. The trial date was set for 18 months out. During those 18 months, I watched Jordan's empire crumble. Crawford Foundation was dissolved. Donors fled. The family mansion was seized as proceeds of fraud. Marianne, desperate to distance herself, gave interviews denouncing her family. She fled to Europe to escape the media circus. Victoria's trial for my mother's murder came first. The security footage was damning. Clear video of Victoria pushing my mother off the balcony. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty of second-degree murder. 25 years to life. Jordan's trial was more complex. His attorneys fought every charge, challenged every piece of evidence, attacked the chain of custody, the witnesses, the forensic analysis. But the evidence held. The whistleblower's testimony was corroborated by bank records. The forged emails were proven fake through metadata analysis. The fake psychiatric petition was destroyed by Dr. Zhang's counter-evidence. The jury deliberated for 3 days. Guilty on all counts. 7 years in federal prison. The day Jordan was sentenced, I wasn't in the courtroom. I was at the Winters Foundation, meeting with a new client. A young woman who'd been abused by her family and was finally ready to seek help. When I checked my phone afterward, I had texts from Sebastian, Marcus, Dr. Zhang. It's over. He's going away. I sat there for a moment, processing. 8 years of planning. 3 years of manipulation. Months of legal warfare. And it was finally over. I felt empty. Not triumphant. Not vindicated. Just tired. Miss Winters? The young woman looked at me with concern. Are you okay? I smiled. I'm fine. Just got some good news. Oh. That's great. It is. I picked up her intake form. Now, let's talk about getting you the help you need. Jordan's interlude, the long game. 3 days before the board meeting, Jordan Crawford sat in his study, reviewing the strategy one more time. Evelyn thought she understood him. Thought he was driven by some pathetic obsession with Marianne. She was wrong. He'd stopped caring about Marianne years ago. What he cared about was what she represented: status, legitimacy, the kind of old money breeding that turned self-made fortunes into dynasties. The Crawford name had been mud when his father married Victoria. New money pretending to be old. Mistress's children masquerading as legitimate heirs. Jordan had spent his entire life fighting that narrative. Harvard MBA. Board positions. Strategic marriages. If he'd ever gotten Marianne to commit, her family connections would have erased every whisper about his origins. But Marianne was gone. And Evelyn, clever, dangerous, Evelyn was about to destroy everything he'd built. Unless he destroyed her first. He pulled up the board meeting presentation. 23 slides of carefully crafted PR strategy. He'd spent 18 months cultivating relationships with 3 board members. Fed them concerns about Sebastian's judgment. Positioned himself as the voice of reason. This wasn't about love. It had never been about love. This was about survival. If Evelyn exposed the foundation fraud, everything collapsed. The board positions. The social standing. The carefully constructed image of Jordan Crawford, successful philanthropist and businessman. He'd become what his father had been: white-collar criminal hiding behind charitable giving. No. Better to burn it all down on his terms. Take Sebastian with him. Make Evelyn look like the unstable, vindictive manipulator she actually was. And then rebuild. Phoenix from ashes. Lessons learned. Stronger than before. His phone buzzed. Patricia Wong. We have the votes, she said. 3 confirmed for blocking the acquisition. 2 more leaning our way if you can demonstrate the PR risk is unmanageable. I can demonstrate it. What about the fraud allegations Evelyn's been making? Handled. I have forged emails showing she's the one who committed securities violations. She goes down. I look like a victim of her manipulation. That's risky, Jordan. If she can prove those are fake, she can't. Not in time. He closed his laptop. Trust me, Patricia. I've been planning this for longer than she knows. The morning after the board meeting, Jordan watched the news coverage of his Crawford Foundation withdrawal announcement. The reporter asked predictable questions. He gave predictable answers. Calm. Reasonable. The wronged benefactor, protecting his donor's interests. Behind the camera, his PR consultant gave a thumbs up. Perfect. The stock had dropped 3%. Manageable. Sebastian would recover. But the board was fractured. 3 members gone. The acquisition dead. And Evelyn had been forced to watch Sebastian sacrifice $100 million for her. That kind of guilt was corrosive. Jordan had seen it before. Relationships that couldn't survive the weight of what was lost. Give it time. The cracks would show. His phone rang. His attorney. We need to talk about the criminal complaints. Let them file. We have a strong defense. Jordan, they have bank records. Emails. Whistleblower testimony. All circumstantial. All explainable. He stood, moved to the window. I've spent 3 years building relationships with federal judges, AGs, law enforcement. They file complaints, we file motions. We delay until the public loses interest and the prosecutors move on to easier targets. That's a dangerous game. I'm good at dangerous games. He smiled. I beat Evelyn at the board. I'll beat her in court too. 6 months later, the day before his arrest, Jordan's attorney called at midnight. They're coming tomorrow. AG's office has an arrest warrant. Conspiracy, forgery, attempted extortion. I thought we had more time. The whistleblower evidence accelerated everything. Diana Reeves documented every transaction, every conversation. Her testimony is bulletproof. Jordan felt the first real flicker of fear. What about bail? $2 million, probably. Your father will post it. And then what? We fight. But Jordan, you need to prepare for the possibility of conviction. Federal charges, state charges. The evidence is strong. After hanging up, Jordan sat in the dark for a long time. He'd built his entire life around one principle: control the narrative, control your fate. But Evelyn had done what he never expected. She'd out-strategized him, outplanned him, outmaneuvered him at every turn. Not because she was smarter, but because she'd been willing to burn herself down to take him with her. And now they were both standing in the ashes. The difference was, she had Sebastian to pull her out. Jordan had no one. 7 years later, federal prison Jordan's cell was 8 by 10. Concrete walls. Metal bed. The smell of industrial cleaner and desperation. He'd been model prisoner for 6 years. Good behavior. Educational programs. Therapy mandatory, but he'd played along. His cellmate was a former hedge fund manager who'd run a Ponzi scheme twice as large as Jordan's. They talked sometimes about the mistakes they'd made. Where did you go wrong? The cellmate asked one day. Jordan thought about it. I underestimated someone, he finally said. Thought I understood her. Thought she was driven by the same things I was: status, survival, self-preservation. She wasn't? She was driven by something more dangerous. Love. Revenge. The need to prove she mattered. He laughed, bitter. You can't outmaneuver that. It's not rational. Would you do it differently? No. Jordan stared at the ceiling. Because the alternative was admitting I'd built my entire life on lies. That everything I'd become was borrowed legitimacy. He closed his eyes. Better to go down fighting than admit you were never really standing. His cellmate was quiet for a long time. Then, that's the most honest thing I've ever heard you say. Jordan didn't respond. Because Honesty, in the end, was all he had left. 2 months later, Crawford Foundation was dissolved. Jordan was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. Victoria was awaiting trial for manslaughter and fraud. Marianne had fled to Europe, trying to rebuild her reputation far from American tabloids. And I was standing in an empty office space in Manhattan, envisioning what it could become. "This could be the therapy rooms," I said to Sebastian. "And this area could be intake and administration. What about groups?" "There's a larger space on the 3rd floor. Perfect for group sessions." He smiled. "You've really thought this through." "I've had a lot of time to think." I turned to face him. "About what I want. What matters. Who I want to be. And who do you want to be?" "Someone who turns pain into purpose. Someone who helps people who feel as broken as I used to feel." I stepped closer. "Someone who's brave enough to build a life instead of just burning down the past." "That sounds like the woman I fell in love with." "You fell in love with a manipulative strategist." "I fell in love with a survivor who refused to stay small." He pulled me close. "You were never just manipulative, Evelyn. You were fighting for your life with the only weapons you had. But now you don't have to fight anymore. What do I do instead?" "You build. You heal. You let yourself be happy." "With you? If you'll have me." I kissed him. Slow and sweet and full of promise. "I'll have you." 6 months later, the Winters Foundation officially opened. We offered free therapy, support groups, legal assistance, and job training for survivors of family abuse and trauma. Dr. Jang agreed to serve as clinical director. Marcus, my business partner, not the lawyer, helped me structure the organization. And Sebastian provided the business expertise to make it sustainable. On opening day, I stood in the lobby and watched people arrive. Nervous, hopeful, looking for help, the way I'd looked 8 years ago. "You did it," Sebastian said beside me. "We did it." "No. This was your vision. Your healing. I just helped execute it." I leaned against him. "Thank you. For everything. For believing in me even when I was too broken to believe in myself. You were never broken. You were forged." 1 year later, Sebastian proposed. Not with a dramatic public gesture. Not at a fancy restaurant. Just the 2 of us in his apartment, our apartment now, after a long day at work. "Marry me," he said, like it was the simplest thing in the world. That's not a very romantic proposal. You don't want romance. You want honesty. He pulled out a ring-simple platinum band with a single diamond. "I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to fight with you and build with you and wake up next to you every morning. Marry me." I looked at the ring. At him. At the life we'd built together. Yes. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, close friends only. Dr. Jang officiated. At the reception, I found myself standing alone for a moment, watching Sebastian talk to guests. This man who'd saved me twice. Once in an alley when I was 16. Once in his parking lot when I was 24. This man who'd seen all my manipulations and loved me anyway. This man who'd helped me turn revenge into redemption. Evelyn? A familiar voice. I turned. Marianne Crawford stood there, looking smaller than I remembered. Tired. Older. "What are you doing here?" "I'm not staying. I needed to say something." She took a breath. "I'm sorry. For everything. For how we treated you. For the lies. For," her voice broke. "I knew what my mother was doing. I knew, and I didn't stop it. That makes me complicit. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserved better. You deserved the truth. She pulled an envelope from her purse. This is my trust fund. Everything my father left me. I'm signing it over to your foundation. I don't want your money. It's not about what you want. It's about what's right. She set the envelope on the table. Goodbye, Evelyn. I hope you find peace. She left before I could respond. I opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $15 million. Everything okay? Sebastian appeared at my elbow. Marianne was here. And she apologized. Gave me her entire trust fund for the foundation. How do you feel about that? Confused. Angry. Sad. I looked up at him. But mostly just done. I'm done being angry. Done letting them take up space in my head. Good. He kissed my temple. Because we have better things to do with our time. Like what? Like dancing with my wife. Like building our future. Like being happy. He took my hand. Come on. They're playing our song. Epilogue 8 years later, the Winters Foundation now had 5 locations across 3 states. We'd helped over 10,000 people. Employed 200 therapists and counselors. And I was standing in the newest location, cutting the ribbon, when I saw someone in the crowd. A teenage girl. Skinny. Scared looking. Dressed in clothes that didn't quite fit. She reminded me of myself at 16. After the ceremony, I found her hovering near the intake desk. Can I help you? I asked, gently. I need to talk to someone. About my family. But I don't have money. That's okay. We don't charge anything here. Really? Really? Come on. Let me get you set up with one of our counselors. As I walked her through the process, I thought about how far I'd come. From a scared girl in an alley to a woman who'd built an empire out of pain. From someone who'd spent 8 years planning revenge to someone who'd learned that healing was the best revenge of all. Sebastian found me later in my office. How'd it go? Another success. Another person helped. You're changing lives, Evelyn. We're changing lives. This is as much yours as mine. No. This is yours. I'm just lucky enough to be part of it. He pulled me close. Ready to go home? Home. Yeah. I smiled. Let's go home. As we left the building, I thought about the girl I'd been. The girl who'd been saved by a stranger in an alley. Who'd spent 8 years obsessed with finding him. Who'd manipulated and schemed and fought her way to becoming someone worthy of him. But in the end, I'd learned the most important lesson: I'd always been worthy. I just needed to believe it. And sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming the person they said you could never be. It's building something beautiful from the ashes they left behind. It's choosing happiness over hate. And it's finding someone who sees you, really sees you, manipulations and all, and loves you anyway. Race you home, Sebastian said, that old competitive edge in his voice. You're going to lose. Maybe. But I'm okay with that. I laughed. And for the first time in my life, I was okay with it too. The end.